Hey guys, it's Olivia and welcome back to Live in Literature. Thank you so much for all the love and support I received in my last video, and if you have not seen it yet, feel free to head over to my channel to check it out. Well guys, happy fall apparently according to Book Talk. According to Book Talk, I apparently did not get the memo, but summer is over.
It's over.
This isn't over until I say it's over!
Sorry, okay, relax, dude.
Which, in my opinion, summer's not over until it's September. But according to the internet, according to TikTok or whatever, summer is officially like coming to an end. We're hitting that like in-between period between like late summer, early fall. People are already posting on Book Talk and TikTok of all of their summer, or all of their like fall reads and like things to put in their fall TBRs. So if you're already starting to do that, congratulations. I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite ready to make a fall TBR. I may or may not have a couple suggestions for you today for that, but today on the channel, I'm here to recommend the best books I read this summer. And so these are going to be books between a 4 to 5 star rating. So between 4 or 5, 4.5, 4.8 or whatever. It's going to be between a 4 to 5 star rating. We've got a couple of each, mostly 5 stars though. Congratulations. Because I will say for a second there, I was getting a little bit nervous because as I may have mentioned on this channel, I have been a little bit surprised by the lack of 5 star reads I've been getting this year. I've been a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious. I'm not seeing a lot of 5 star quality out there. Don't get me wrong. I've read some amazing books, like some really fun and amazing books, but just not a lot of like 5 star, like hit you in the deepest depths of your soul, like impactful, like it's going to change the way that I think about things, perspective, life altering 5 star reads. Maybe even those are like 6 star reads, but still, I just haven't seen a lot of them. And so I'm so happy that I have finally read a couple to recommend to you. And I'm so excited to talk about them. But without further ado, let's get into the best books I read this summer. Let's get started. All right, let's start off strong with what I think is the anthem of my summer. And I don't think it's going to be ending anytime soon, because I did just pick up another cowboy romance series. But let's start with Heartless by Elise Silver. As you all know, if you've been watching the channel for a minute, and also hello to all the new subscribers out there. There have been quite a few new subs recently. So hello, welcome to the channel. You're here. If you haven't been here long enough, it's horny cowboy summer, guys. It's horny, hot cowboy summer, guys.
That Hansel's so hot right now.
And I'm getting into it. And I've been into it this whole summer. And I will say, let's start off strong with a 5 star read. Now, full disclosure and discretion, I've done several videos talking about the discrepancy between a 5 star read like an SJM book and a 5 star read like this, okay? Is this book gonna like absolutely change the fabric of my mind? It is gonna make me think about the world in a new way, and I'm just gonna be like totally like not even knowing what to do with myself after like a while? No. But is this a 5 star read? Yes. Because Cade Eaton is a 5 star man.
Now who's number 1 on the field and number 1 in your heart?
Cade Eaton is a 5 star man. And I'm not giving up cowboy romances. I happened to pick up a new one by Devin Perry called Indigo Ridge. Some people were recommending it to me because they were like, if you liked Elise Silver, read Indigo Ridge. And so I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. So I'll have to let you guys know how that one goes, because my cowboy summer is not over yet. It's not over until I say it's over. But enough about that. Going back to Heartless. Heartless is the second book in a 5-book series. Each book is based on a different couple within this like family in Chestnut Springs is the name of the ranch, the Chestnut Springs series. And essentially it's all about cowboys. It's all these brothers who are cowboys, and each book's about a different couple and about like their issues and like getting together, and it's very cute. This one happens to be about a grumpy DILF single dad, Cade Eaton, and a young woman who comes to nanny for him and his son. And essentially they end up falling for each other. This book, I'll be honest, it actually did change the fabric of who I am, because now I guess I need to go live on a ranch in Canada. Now I need someone to put me on a horse and ride behind me so that I'm running in front and they're riding behind me like in a fantasy novel. But like we're wearing cowboy hats and we're like riding on the plains and the Canadian countryside and whatever.
Haven't any of you ever had a dream?
Like, I'll be honest, this book ate. I ate this book up. I think it's the best one in the Chestnut Springs series. This is the second book. I cannot talk about how obsessed I am with this. I literally have talked nonstop about how much I'm loving the cowboy summer. And Cade Eaton in Heartless is a great addition to this summer. So check out Heartless for a fun, sexy cowboy romance. It's so fun. Don't knock it till you try it. Seriously, give it a chance. Next, you guys all thought I was not going to be going back to fantasy anytime soon. Well, think again, because we have Five Broken Blades by May or Mai. I don't know how to say it. It's M-A-I, so May maybe, or Mai, but May Corland. May Corland, Five Broken Blades. This is a Korean-inspired mythology story of a telling about 5 recluse, liars, thieves, horrible people who essentially are all asked in secret locations and in secret ways to all come together to murder the king of Yusan, which is the land that they're all in. So this is very much like, this was marketed to the public as like a Six of Crows meets Korean mythology meets like a band of rebels. So essentially it's like Six of Crows vibes. Like it's a heist. They're essentially like all coming together to complete this heist. And they're all coming from different parts of the globe to all meet up in Yusan to murder the king. This book was a lovely breath of fresh air. I will say, like, every time a book is recommended as like a Six of Crows style book of like a heist, I just compare it to Six of Crows. And to be honest, no book of a heist have I read since Six of Crows will be as good as Six of Crows. Sorry, that was a very confusing sentence. I don't know what I was really trying to say there. What I mean is that anytime a book is recommended as a Six of Crows heist, I'm always disappointed because, as we know, Leigh Bardugo is the queen of that heist style writing. Like, I just think that she did it the best. I think her band of characters was the most compelling. And so this one, yes, was absolutely so fun. I loved it. It's 4 stars. 4 stars. I gave it 4 stars because I did have an enjoyable time reading it. Now, I will say that I'm not really quite sure where this book stands in like, if it's a YA or a new adult. I feel like it's written like a YA, but some of the content is a little bit more like new adult. Granted though, a lot of the like sexy schmexy like adult content was very like minimal. It wasn't like a ton. So I can't really tell where this book stands, and maybe that's why I have kind of like a lower rating, because I kind of wanted them to go like a little bit more full force. If this is a new adult, I'm like, just lean in. Like, just lean into some of the like intense stuff and some of the graphic stuff. I just wanted you to kind of like lean into it. It almost felt like the book was like balancing on the fence. It like didn't know what it wanted to be, if it wanted to be YA or if it wanted to be new adult or whatever. So that was where I kind of have a little bit of a hesitancy towards it. I love the characters. Essentially, like, there's like 5 characters, but like 3 of them are like main focuses, and then there's like another 3 who are like side characters, and then they like switch POVs throughout the book. It was a multiple POV book, and I will say they did a really good job of like separating the POVs, and so it wasn't too confusing, and you could like keep up with all the different stories of like where everyone was. I really enjoyed that. I thought all of the characters were very compelling, very fun. I enjoyed the stories of all of these characters. It did take a second to like get into, but once I was in, I was like, oh, I'm gonna finish this in a day. Like at first it took me a minute to like really get into it, but literally like I finished it within the day once I was like in. I really enjoyed the book. I think the writing is fun. I do, like I said, I feel like it almost is like, I feel like some of the characters talk like they're in a YA novel, but then like, again, like some of the content is like a more new adult. So that's why I had some issues with it, why it's a 4-star rating and not a 5. There is going to be a second book. It's coming out in January. It's coming out in January. And I think it's 4 Broken Realms or 4 something realms. I can't really remember. I'll put it right here. It's going to be great. I will be reading it. I am interested enough to keep going with the series. But I will say that, like, I thoroughly enjoyed the book. I hope that the author, like, takes some of the critiques and is like, okay, I know what I want to be. And, hey, correct me in the comments if this is a YA book and it's marketed as that, then great. Like, I can start thinking about it like it's a YA book, and maybe my critique wouldn't be as harsh. But because I don't know what it's marketed as, I'm not quite sure. That's why I'm still, like, on the fence about my critique. But, hey, 4 stars for 5 Broken Blades. I still really enjoyed the book. The characters are really fun and compelling. The romance relationships are very sweet and very fun. And I'm excited for book 2 because the cliffhanger was crazy at the end of this one. Next, we're taking a walk on something I don't normally read, which is a thriller mystery novel. This one, I think this is probably going to be one of the best books I've read this year. I actually don't know when this book came out. I think it came out about like 4 years ago, but I am just now getting to it. Everyone else has probably already gotten to this book. I'm sorry that I'm late to the game. I'm extremely late, but please welcome to the stage If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. If We Were Villains. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it's taking me this long to read this book. I've seen this book on the shelves. I've seen people recommend this book. I've seen people talk about this book. And I just was always like, yeah, like I'll get to it.
Yeah, whatever. Let's stop standing around and get to it.
And then I finally was like, okay, let's actually see what the book is about. Plot-wise, it's literally like my dream scenario. 7 students, college age of their senior year. They go to an art school. They're all actors and actresses. There's a terrible murder that happens to one of their friends in the program. And literally, like, no one can figure it out. And then, of course, like, years later, it all gets revealed, essentially. This is, like, my perfect book. First of all, it's theater. Which, hi, don't know if you can tell from my personality or everything about me, I'm a theater kid.
No! It can't be! No! No!
Sad but true. I am a theater kid. I am very proud to be a theater kid, but I will say, like, we get a bad rep. So yeah, theater is the main focus of this book. It's a Shakespeare-inspired book, and I am a whore for Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. I eat up Shakespeare. This book is, like, fully designed to, like, you don't know who's telling the truth. These are all actors and actresses. You're like, who's telling the truth? Who's acting or who's being honest? Like, I feel like I can only trust, like, the narrator of this book, Oliver. And even still, like, there's so much nuance to this. This book is so fun. It's so edgy, and it's so, like, it drips with the drama of theater, and it drips with the drama of Shakespeare. And it really, like, for those of us or those people out there like me who really enjoy Shakespeare, which I really, really do, this book just kind of leans into the fact that it's so, like, almost like, I don't know, I guess it, like, glamorizes Shakespeare in a way. I don't mind that because I think Shakespeare's glamorous. I think it's so human and so real. I think that, like, his works are so poignant to, like, how we live today, and that, like, they say there's so many great quotes in this book of talking about, like, Shakespeare, of how, like, every character, like, in Shakespeare is not, it's not over the top, it's not over dramatic. Every moment is, like, on purpose. It's like the everything that these characters are feeling, like, you have felt at some point in your life. And I just feel like Shakespeare gives such an honest perspective of, like, a well-rounded, like, human range of emotions. And I just love him. And so this book had such a heavy, like, depth on that. And these actors feel that. These actors, like, have respect for it, and they, like, love it, and they're, like, crazy about it and nerds about it. And I just, like, love that too. I love that there's a lot of, like, theater nuances talking about, like, the way that they do casting. Who's the favorites? Who's going to play the leads? Like, why do they always cast specific people in specific roles? Like, it's very, like, it's psychologically disturbing and amazing. Like, I just ate this book up. And now I know I'm so late to the party, and everyone's going to be like, dude, we've been here since the beginning. Like, we've known this book is amazing. But I'm just now arriving, and if you want to arrive there with me,
the fun has arrived. Thank you very much.
Please read If We Were Villains, a 5-star read. This might be one of my favorite things I've read this year. I absolutely adored this book. Please go read it. It is fabulous. Next, I want to talk about a book that I am so excited to talk about, and I may have already talked about it on this channel. I'm pretty sure that I have, but this was one that I was so excited to read this year, and found out that it had actually come out last year, but I am just now getting to the party. I am just now arriving. Hello, hi, I'm here. And this is also going along with, if you've been a longtime subscriber of the channel, you know that not only are we having Horny Cowboy Summer, but we are also having Vampire Year. This is the year of the vampires, guys. I am eating up vampires, guys. I left and right. Anytime that book says, hey, there's vampires in it, I am reading it.
Is this bitch for real?
And normally I hate vampires. Normally I am not a vampire girl, but this year, the vampires have been phenomenal. And another phenomenal read was The Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Canis. I don't know how to say her last name, pardon me. This book is lovely. This is an 1800s, like, Western style book. It's very much, it reads more of, like, a historical fiction with, like, a sprinkle of a vampire element, which, like, I love because I love a historical fiction. This book is about 1840s Mexico and the land that's, like, really close to Texas and Mexico, and, like, basically essentially like the settlers of Mexico who had their land there, and the Anglo settlers who are coming into Mexico to take their land away. But essentially this is when there's a girl named Nina. She lives on a essentially a large plantation of land with her family. She's in love with a young boy named Nestor. They're like childhood sweethearts, and one day when they're kids, she's attacked by a vampire and he thinks she's died and he runs away. He finds out years later that she's alive, and he comes back to rescue her right as the Anglo settlers are like crouching into their space and coming to take the land from them. And she needs his help and he needs her help to essentially like stop these people, but also to stop the hidden threat of the vampires. I really enjoyed it. I will say I did have a couple problems. I wish, again, like, this is definitely an adult, like a new adult book or an adult book, but like I kind of wish they had like leaned a little bit more into like the grit, leaned a little bit more into it. I thought it was so well written. I think I gave this one 4.5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I kind of wish the romance had been better developed. I really, really enjoyed the book, but I just feel like the romance was a little bit lacking. I just wanted a little bit more from these two. And don't get me wrong, like it was wonderful. It was very much like unrequited love and like coming back together, and like they were separated for so many years, and there's a lot of anger and angst between these two and a lot of things that need to be forgiven. But I kind of just wish that there had been a little bit more time to like bridge that gap and like come together. It wasn't perfect for me, but I did still really enjoy it. Again, the writing is beautiful. The plot is extremely interesting. It's like my perfect book, essentially. Like, hello, cowboys meets vampires. It's literally my summer. Cowboy vampire summer. Duh. So again, I will highly recommend The Vampires of El Norte, 4.5 stars. Really, really lovely and absolutely beautiful. And the last and final book I want to recommend is one of Book Talk's recommended. I know, guys, I just did my full Book Talk rant. And for once, Book Talk had something good to say. We have Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Now, this book has gone viral on Book Talk. Everyone's talking about Quicksilver. Everyone's like, read Quicksilver. And I'll be honest, I was a little nervous, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this one a chance. I checked Goodreads. I was checking from sources that I trust. And I was like, okay, let's see what Quicksilver has to offer.
Take a chance on me. Take a chance on me.
And I gotta say, guys, they were right. 5 stars for Callie Hart and Quicksilver. This book was lovely. She's a thick girl. This book's like 600 pages. It's a nice thick book. It's a big book. And guys, I loved it. I really did. I really, really, really loved Quicksilver. And it's crazy to admit it, but I can't believe Book Talk was right about this one. This one really changed the game. So essentially, to give you a quick plot summary, there's a young woman named Sarah Spain. She's in her mid-20s. She's a thief. She's stealing things to survive in this land. In her kingdom, essentially, they are like, she lives in a crappy district of her kingdom that like essentially is like, they're basically segregated from the rest of the community because they think everyone from the 3rd district is infected with like diseases and stuff. They're not sick, but essentially they're like cut off. Her people are treated like garbage. They're water rations, even though they live in the desert and like there's no water. And so she steals things to survive for her and her brother. Duh. Eventually she gets caught though, and she's caught by the queen. And as the queen takes her to her castle, she stumbles through a portal into the Fey realms. Now, normally I don't love a like, oh, they're one place and then they portal into a new and magic land or whatever. But in this case, it totally works. Because of the world that Callie Hart has created, it's almost like the separation between the worlds is not as like thin or is not as like far as I thought it was. And there's a lot more similarities between the two than I hadn't realized. And the more you read, the more that you know kind of the situation. And essentially though, she meets up with the Fae, and the Fae, who have been long since forgotten in her world, are very much real in this one. And she meets the lovely, the amazing, the absolutely bad boy sexy Kingfisher. I know what you're all thinking. You're like, what a ridiculous name, Kingfisher. Guys, just get over it. I think it's the hottest name ever. I'm like obsessed. Love Kingfisher. And essentially she comes to find out that there's an all-out war going on in his realm, and she is going to help him figure it out. Now, this book had so many twists and turns, so many things I was just not expecting, a lot of stuff that like I just so many moments of like frustration, because like there were so many moments where I was like, am I finally going to figure out why this thing is happening? Am I finally going to figure it out? And none of it gets revealed until like basically the very, very end. But stuff does get revealed. Stuff happens. And there's going to be more books in this series, and I cannot wait to keep reading them because the way this one ended was crazy. Now, let's talk about Sarah Spain. She's a baddie. Like, I'm obsessed with her. I love her. She's not afraid to say it like it is. She's honestly like just really cool. Like, she's one of those girls that I read about, like, in books that I'm like, oh, gosh, you are so cool. You're so much cooler than me. Like, and granted, like, most girls that I read about in books are cooler than me. But, like, there are some that I'm just like, oh, she's got a cool energy. Like, she has a cool vibe. Like, she's just, like, so, like, quick and cool under pressure. Whereas, like, I just feel like I would never, like, I could never be that. But she's just so ridiculously cool.
Everyone just be cool.
Strong, like, powerful, just very, like, determined, and, like, she's not gonna let people tell her or stomp on her or tell her what to do or what she can and cannot do. Like, she's just kind of that girl. Like, she is that girl. I'm obsessed with her. Like, I love her. And not only do I love her, but I love Kingfisher. Let's talk about my man's Kingfisher. Now, I will say, this book, I will say, is a romantasy. If you've watched my previous video about romantasy versus fantasy romance, this is definitely, to me, reads more romantasy than it does fantasy romance. Now, my opinion could change as the book series goes on, because I will say there was quite a bit of world building and plot building throughout this book. I do think the romance came on a little bit quick, but I still don't really care, because I'll be honest, it was so angsty. Like,
but then he took his shirt off and I went, like, I actually had, like, my body had a reaction with those temples.
I don't need to know about that. You keep that to yourself.
This is the book for the girls when they say that they like the bad boy, when they like the enemy, when they like the villain and the morally gray MC. Kingfisher is that guy. Like, for so much of this book, I was like, he is a dick. Like, I don't like him. Like, he's pissing me off. And literally, it took so long for me to finally, like, get him and to, like him more. Like, he was being a dick for a lot of the book.
How about lick on my nuts? How about suck and lick on my little nuts?
But I eventually, like, finally understood, like, what was going on with him. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, it all makes sense. He is angsty, angry, like, just cruel in a lot of ways, but also just, like, very determined in getting what he wants. Like, he has to get things done a certain way, and he knows it's the only way to do it. Someone just on Book Talk described Kingfisher as, like, a mix of, like, Rowan and Rhysand. And if you know anything about me, I love Daddy Rowan Whitethorn, but I also love Rhysand. And a mix of my two favorite men, I would say that I agree with that. I would say, honestly, it kind of gives me more of this. It's giving, for me, Kingfisher kind of gives more Rowan, Rhysand, and Dorian Haviland from Throne of Glass. Like, I feel like Kingfisher gives a lot of Dorian vibes. Like, there's a lot of angst and, like, repressed emotion going on in here. But when you see it and it comes out, oh my gosh, like, it's dark and it's gritty and it is, oof, it is, like, it's good. It's good. There's some moments in here, and he, like, takes advantage. He takes full advantage of those moments. And he's, again, like I said, it's just very aggressive and more angsty than I feel like I normally get, but I was eating it up. I was loving it. I feel like the plot is so interesting. I cannot wait to see what she does with the other books. I will be reading the other books. Again, if you are looking for, like, your next, like, romantasy addiction, like something you can really sink your teeth into and just totally enjoy, I highly recommend Quicksilver. I absolutely loved it. This was such a fun read for me. It was nice to go back to, like, kind of like my fantasy roots of, like, oh, there's, like, a thief and an assassin and there's a hot fae dude. Like, I'll be honest, like, sometimes I just love my bread and butter. I love a hot fae man. I love a sarcastic, witty banter between the two. I love some angst and I love some spice, but most of all, I love a well-developed world with a really interesting plot. And this book definitely has that. So, please go read Quicksilver, guys. I give it my absolute stamp of approval, my Live in Literature stamp of approval. This is totally worth the hype on Book Talk. 5 stars for Quicksilver. So that is all the books I have to recommend for you guys today. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Live in Literature YouTube channel. Thank you so much for all the new subscribers I've been seeing recently. So nice to see you. I hope that you enjoyed this video. And do not forget, guys, that if you have any video recommendations or book recommendations for me, please feel free to leave them down below in the comments. But I love you guys the most, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.